Well, hey folks, real honest with your red loans, the times of wrestling to piss me off Redux part 25. I know I said at the very beginning of part 24 that was going to be the last one, but that one ran a little bit long, so I decided 3 more topics and that's it. Then that's likely going to be it. um, who knows? I love the input that you guys have given me, so if you guys can give me 3-4 more episodes worth of material on a list, then absolutely, I will be happy to revisit this or even continue it. But I am doing Wrestling's Most Tasteless, where you guys can just check out those episodes and then you'll be able to figure out what it is. So anyway, you guys can leave topic suggestions for that too. So this is going to start off with Dolph Ziggler's horrible booking. I forget exactly who on YouTube suggested this, so I apologize for not writing down your handle, but thank you very much for the suggestion, because the more I thought about it, I don't know if Ziggler would have ever been a long-term main event guy, but given where he was popularity-wise and the banger matches he was putting out, especially after being a fucking male cheerleader for how goddamn long, we don't know. It was actually about a year, or just under a year. He then stayed in the company, went down to Ohio Valley Wrestling, started working super hard, and became Dolph Ziggler. And at first he was just, hi, I'm Dolph Ziggler, nice to meet you, that kind of stuff. And that was kind of ridiculous. I actually remember being there for one of his first dark matches, as I recall. He faced Charlie Haas when Charlie Haas was doing all his wrestling impressions. Never forget that. I don't have any idea what they were doing, having him do that, because he was a hell of a wrestler. He could do some good comedy. But anyway, Dolph Ziggler really from there, I mean, he could have been a fine just mid-card champion, and they could have just gone with him. And he did have multiple Intercontinental and U.S. title reigns. He did do really well with that stuff. He was delivering some fantastic performances. Should have beaten Rey Mysterio at SummerSlam '09, but he didn't. Rey kind of playing the whole veterans card, ended up dropping it to John Morrison on SmackDown soon after, when Ziggler could have benefited from that. That's not to say that Ziggler was, again, could have been the guy. But there was a time where he really could have been at least given the chance. And I don't want to hear any of this bullshit about 2013 and he got a concussion. Sure, okay. They could have done it before that. They really could have. Because he was having, again, banger matches for the Intercontinental title, for the U.S. title. I believe there was a match at TLC 2010. Kofi and Jack Swagger, I believe, were involved in it. And it was a nice ladder match for the U.S. title. That was fun. Then he had a feud with Edge over the world title. That could have been something that could have carried him for a number of months. They should have gone with Ziggler to be the one to face Christian for the world title at Extreme Rules instead of Del Rio, because that didn't go over too well. Christian and Ziggler could have had much better matches. And then you could have had Ziggler face Orton soon after. Who knows, something. I mean, that would have knocked Mark Henry out of the whole main event push. But who knows? You could have turned Ziggler babyface by having him lose to Mark Henry after a short title. The bottom line is you could have done a whole lot more with Dolph Ziggler, because yeah, he was awarded the world title in I believe February of 2011. But then Edge won it back from him that very night when Teddy Long made his return and all that, and that was all messy. And then he kind of plateaued there. And then they had him have a match, I believe, against CM Punk at Royal Rumble 2012. That was the whole messy time where Punk was feuding with John Laurinaitis. Johnny Ace, people power, Mr. Laryngitis. I hate Johnny Ace. Guy's a piece of shit for how he talks to women. Especially how he talked to AJ Lee, because people say, oh, well, he wasn't named in the book. It was Johnny Ace. And it could have been Kevin Dunn also. I mean, I don't know. There wasn't enough teeth chattering to be Kevin Dunn, but I don't think anybody can do enough teeth chattering to impersonate Kevin Dunn. And yeah, I try to stay away from being too insulting, but with Kevin Dunn, he kind of deserves it. Actually, he does deserve it for ruining the look of the WWE product, because he doesn't really know what the fuck he's doing. Too many camera cuts and all that. But anyway, back to Ziggler. From there, he was puttering around tag teams. He was still having great matches. And then he won Money in the Bank. Then he went on a bit of a losing streak. Well, then he had a feud with Chris Jericho. And Jericho went away for a bit. And then you had Ziggler enter a feud with John Cena, and that was the whole thing where then you had Ziggler and AJ Lee team together. Now, giving him the Money in the Bank was the right call. The problem is that by the time he cashed in, and it was a uproarious, reaction, like huge reaction. Fans just absolutely fucking loved it, and I loved it. It was right after WrestleMania 29. He won the title from Alberto Del Rio, and yeah, then he got the concussion, and then he got taken away. It got taken away from him right after that. My thing is, they should have left the title on him, at least for a month, because after that, after Del Rio beat him, what the fuck else has he done since? And this is not a knock against Ziggler. He's done everything he can, but it feels like WWE blamed him for getting the concussion when a contact sport like this, and yes, wrestling is a sport, even though it's sports entertainment, it is still a sport because they are athletes. And yes, I'm including so many wrestlers in there that I don't like as athletes, but concussions happen. Don't blame somebody for getting injured. Oh, he's injury prone or all this kind of stuff or whatever. When he had consistently delivered great performances, had not been out for very long, and had been given a whole ton of shit, literally. I think he had shit, him and AJ Lee had, shit dumped on him and her, like, right after TLC 2012, because John Cena is a babyface. But then after that world title thing ended, he was just puttering around, had, they didn't really do anything much with him after that. The pairing with Vicky Guerrero for a number of years up until that point was actually pretty damn good. And I actually liked the pairing he had with Vicky Guerrero because it was good. They played off each other really well. But then Ziggler, oh Jesus. 2014 I don't remember too much of until near the end of the year where they had him win for Team WWE because Sting came down, attacked Triple H, and then put Ziggler on Seth Rollins, and then Team WWE, easy for me to say, won, and the Authority was done for like 5 weeks. And Ziggler was barely IC champion for that long, and then beat Luke, and I think Luke Harper beat him for it, or he beat Luke Harper for it, and then lost it pretty soon after. They weren't doing much of anything with him. They took every bit of steam that he had from that win, even with Sting coming in, the Sting steam, if you will, and turned it to shit. Because then Cena brought back the Authority, and then it was all this, and then Ziggler just didn't mean anything. Partied around for a while, and then they did the thing with him and Rusev, Lana and Summer Rae. Oh dear. And I did a rant about that on this series, and it was really, really bad. I mean, it was just so bad, because you had Ziggler and Lana, who were supposed to be the baby faces, and Rusev and Summer Rae, who were supposed to be the heels, yet people sympathize with Rusev, and were like, no, Dolph's kind of a dick. And that ended up just going nowhere. There was talks he was going to leave the company. He had some performances here and there, but he was mainly just undercard. Great series of matches that he had with The Miz. No Mercy 2016 in particular for the IC title. That was great. Ziggler's career versus Miz's IC title. I was hoping the Miz's IC title reign would continue so he could be the longest reigning Intercontinental Champion. So Honky Tonk Man, that piece of shit, was no longer the longest reigning Intercontinental Champion. In fact, they need to do that. They need to have somebody hold the IC title. Have Rollins do it. Rollins is holding the title for what? I would have Elias do it, actually, because I think it would be better. It would just be almost poetic justice for a better worker that plays the guitar way better than Honky Tonk Man ever could. And yes, Elias is a better worker, to be the one to dethrone Honky Tonk Man as the longest reigning Intercontinental Champion. The problem is they would need to build Elias back up a little bit, beat Seth Rollins for it, and he would need to hold it till sometime in 2020 to accomplish that, which would be a little weird. But he could do it. I mean, Elias could do it because he's over enough with the crowd and can still get people over. But if they want to do it with a tremendous worker, Rollins would be the right choice. Also, there's a number of people they could do it with. The whole point of this is Ziggler had that moment and beat Miz and then lost the title like right before Survivor Series, and that didn't go anywhere. That, and then maybe there was talks he was going to leave, and then wasn't really doing much of anything. Won the U.S. title near the end of 2017. Dropped the U.S. title, seemingly left. Came in at number 30 at this year's Royal Rumble, and to the most tepid reaction. And then was barely on TV after that. I think it was in the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. It's teamed up with Drew. Now they're Dolphin Drew. Insert Dolphin memes here. But yeah, after that, they won the tag titles. They're tag team champions now. And this feels like about where Ziggler's career is. But just looking at the booking of him, they didn't have a fucking clue what they were doing. They had such a big superstar here. Maybe he was somebody that was a little too outspoken, so they didn't want to make him a main event guy forever. That's fucking fine. But give him a chance beyond, oh, he got a concussion, we can't trust him. When you give in guys like Randy Orton, who hates black people and hates a whole bunch of, and, is a general piece of shit by, a lot of people's standards and a whole bunch of that stuff. No, but that Ziggler who's outspoken or whatever, God forbid if somebody's outspoken and speaks their opinion. No, how dare they fucking do that. But Ziggler's booking deserved a whole lot better. Now, I'm kind of glossing over a few of those things because some of those things are kind of mixing together for me, but Ziggler deserved better than he got. Again, not saying that the guy would have been a main event talent forever, but he certainly deserved better than he got. Now, his career isn't over. Maybe he signed a new deal, maybe not. I don't fucking know. But him and Drew are killing it now as a team. If this is what his role is going to be, and this is as of this recording, who knows? They could break them up by sometime around Survivor Series, and then this video would be all for naught. But Ziggler and, Dolph and Drew, I have to keep calling them that because it's hilarious. They have done very, very well as a team. They've done super well. So hopefully they continue to be tag team champions, maybe till Mania. If you're not going to do anything with them, if you see Drew as a big superstar, but you want to make the tag titles relevant, they are having some banger matches. They had a match of the year candidate at Hell in a Cell. That was absolutely fantastic. Anyway, so that's enough of Ziggler's career. Now we're going to move on to TNA letting AJ Styles go. Look, I get it. Talents move from company to company very often. There are some that have seemingly homesteaded a territory or, a company. Some that the company just likes, so they keep them around. Kofi Kingston's been in WWE for how goddamn long and is probably going to finish up his career in WWE. Same with Kevin Owens. Once he got there, he's not leaving. And that's fine. And Impact had a whole bunch of originals. Every company evolves, and I get that. The thing that bothered me, and this goes back to part 24, you go back to Hogan's speech, because that's what I talked about, is a whole bunch of guys that they could have pushed instead, and they didn't, and AJ Styles probably just finally looked around and said, I don't know what I'm still doing here. He was a golden boy and should have been the guy that they pushed as their main guy, not somebody that they used here and there, because after being NWA TNA champion, and sometime in 04, and I even think in the very beginning, or I think sometime leading into 05, he was then put back in the X division and didn't get another sniff of a world title shot for a while. And even though he's put in tag teams and stuff like that, I think it was until 2009. It wasn't Bound for Glory because he faced Sting there. It was No Surrender 2009, I believe, where he just won the title, and that was a little bit out of nowhere. But people celebrate like crazy because, yes, he finally got the accolades that he deserves. And he became TNA champion a couple times after that. I'm not saying he didn't. And now it's Impact, of course. He became the TNA heavyweight champion of the world. And I'm not saying that if AJ had stayed in what is now Impact Wrestling that it would have fully worked out. They should have made him a better offer than they did. Because rumors are he would have taken a bit of a pay cut or something like that, and they basically wanted to amputate, half his body. It's essentially what it was. It was an insult of an offer, and then he went on the Indies, and he also went to New Japan and toured up there for a couple of years, and now he's in WWE, really just still delivering out some great matches, even if, of course, he's older, so of course he's going to have to slow down here and there. But TNA doing that, it was just a slap in the face of the fans, slap in the face of the talent that had worked their asses off for a number of years. No, we're going to go in a different direction, or we're going to make him an offer seeming like we want to keep him, but we really don't. We're hoping he turns it down. He did turn it down. And that was just another example of Dixie being a goddamn idiot and having no business being in the wrestling business because she didn't understand what the fuck she was doing. She didn't understand it all. Like, them letting AJ Styles go really cost them a lot. And that's not to say that they didn't have guys like Jeff Hardy, Magnus. They had MVP make his debut sometime, I think in January. I think it was January, February of 2014. And they had a lot of others. They still had Samoa Joe. They had some really good talents. But when AJ left, that was a lot of the air let out of the balloon. And it took them a while to get it back. And now current Impact Wrestling is doing very well. The new administration is doing fine. Scott D'Amore, Don Callis, and other people having great input and coming up with some great ideas. There's certainly nothing wrong with that. They are doing very well. The problem is the company brand has taken so much damage that it's taking a while for them to do the shit they should have been doing a number of years ago. It's just a shame it's taken this long for it to happen. But anyway, that is something that always bothered me, is I'm letting AJ Styles go when he should have been the person they were building around for a number of years. It just, I'm not saying they should have sacrificed everybody for AJ, but looking at what AJ is still doing, well, looking at what he did in New Japan, looking at what he's doing in WWE, you could have had the guy and you didn't. It just was ridiculous. Dixie didn't know what the fuck she was doing. And there were a lot of people that ended up going because of her bad business decisions and bringing in Hogan and a bunch of older guys. And the originals felt like, they were slapped in the face. So moving on. The Nasty Boys. I have talked about the Nasty Boys a number of times. The Nasty Boys, especially in TNA, pissed me off. And I mean, I'm sure I mentioned this in another previous edition about TNA bringing in older guys at the time, especially when Hogan first came in. And the Nasty Boys were completely immobile and everything. It shouldn't have been wrestling. But I never got the appeal of the Nasty Boys. They were never great wrestlers. They were always brawlers. Now, their feud with Public Enemy and WCW is entertaining, but they couldn't really do anything. I mean, name like beyond two wrestling maneuvers what they could do. They weren't really that good. They had a feud with the Midnight Rockers in the AWA during the dying days of the AWA. Well, actually, 86, 87 really wasn't the dying days. Oh boy, by 89, they were really bad. AWA, by the way, Rockers and Nasty Boys were still fine. But just looking at them, they couldn't do anything. If you took weapons out of their hands or didn't make it a no DQ match or didn't just have it be a street fight, they were shit. They were absolute goddamn dog shit. Now, that's fine if people like them. That's okay. I'm not saying they're terrible people. They apparently weren't very safe workers, from my understanding, from just interviews that people have cut about them, wrestlers that face them. But that would be their opinions, wouldn't be mine. I don't know. I'm not in the wrestling business, obviously, just a fan. But the Nasty Boys were always just one of those teams. Whenever I saw them, I would go, okay, great. Oh, these guys, this is a fantastic idea. Let's put the Nasty Boys there. But the main reason I'm mentioning them is their time in WCW was just abysmal because, yeah, okay, they were tag team champions at one point. They feuded with Harlem Heat. Harlem Heat could get good matches out of them. You know why? Because Harlem Heat was a goddamn good tag team. You put anybody else in with them that were just hardcore wrestlers, and the shine came off of it really, really quick. The Public Enemy matches were entertaining for what they were, but they had no consequence. They had no consequences. They were just put out there to just have some hardcore shit, and that was really it. I don't know why the Nasty Boys were never in ECW. You would have thought that the Nasty Boys would have been perfect. Or if they were in ECW, I don't remember them. So please leave in the comments if they actually ever were. But yeah, the Nasty Boys are just absolute dog shit. They just were. One of the worst tag teams I've ever seen. I mean, were they over? Do I see why they have fans? Yes. But I just personally never cared for them. So yeah, that's where I'm going to leave this off. So yeah, decidedly less of an angry rant than the previous video. Let me know what you think of part 24. Let me know what you thought of this. Leave some comments about some more topics you want me to talk about, and I will, like I said, if I can get 3-4 more episodes worth of material on the list, I will revisit this sooner rather than later. Otherwise, this will be the last episode for a while. But do you agree? Do you disagree with what I said? Like, share, comment, subscribe. Twitter handle in the description. Spend real honesty with Jar Mifflin. It's been a lot of fun doing times of wrestling that pissed me off. This isn't goodbye for the series. It's just see you later. See you soon.